Did we skip last week?
Yep.
We did miss last week. What happened last week?
Was working.
Yeah. Tell us about that. How's that going?
It's going.
Is it going? What's the latest and the greatest?
Well, I had to stage 2 houses for the Parade of Homes, and it was like the most stressful. Ended up being like 2 weekends of my life.
Why was it so stressful?
Well, first of all, when you stage a Parade of Home, it's just always I've done this a few times.
Is that your first dance?
It's not. Yeah, and I know that because you have to stage an entire house down to the pantry and laundry room and like basically like.
Before we get into that, let's talk about science a little bit. Now, what happens when metal gets water on it, like raw metal?
It rusts.
It rusts. So your glass doesn't have a coaster on it, I noticed. That's cool. And I have conveniently placed a piece of wood in front here.
I didn't know that's what it was for. It's too far away.
It's an extra 4 inches forward.
That's too far.
You don't even have to lean forward to get it. You just extend. Your arm is...
You know what?
I strategically...
did a strenuous workout. My arm is too tired.
Strenuous workout on the treadmill, which you asked me to cease and desist when I was building cabinets for our kitchen. Just so you can do a quick... And also, when you go, hey, do you mind if I do a quick 30-minute run? Can you watch harps? Turns into an hour because then it's like you getting a shower, getting dressed.
But it was only a 30-minute run.
It's true. I got to... From now on, like, I'm going to have to, like, specify that. You're like, hey, can you watch for 30 minutes? I'd be like, yeah, but what about
like,
the
actually,
after?
Yeah.
The after part. Like,
Well,
you're good at hustling people. That's what you're good at. Yeah. It's like, hey, can you hold this? And then you take off to the store.
Can you hold Harper? I'll be right back.
All right. I just need to tie my shoes. So go ahead. Now that we covered science and my anything else on my heart. So when you're staging these Parade of Homes, you got the laundry room and all the other details.
It's just a lot of work, and it's every time I do it, it's a lot of work, and it's always stressful. I think the last time Harper was like a couple months old when I staged Parade Home, the last one in the fall, and that was stressful. And the one before that, I was pregnant. Both times, both houses.
Do you remember how optimistic you were when we were first pregnant with her? Well, even though we were only pregnant with her one time. I don't know why at first. Not the second time we were pregnant. But when we were pregnant with her and we were kind of breaking things down, you're like, oh, I can bring her with me. And I think you were so caught up with the whole thing. It was like, we have a daughter kind of thing. So you're like, and you were being overly optimistic about everything. You're like, I'll bring her with me staging and this and that thing. And you did. And then that started getting real hard real quick. And then
I think it was like right at like 5 or 6 months when she was like, oh, I'm not sitting in the car seat anymore. No, thank you.
No, thank you. Because she's an empowered woman. She needs no man.
Because, I mean, before that, like they napped for so much of the day that it was actually not that bad. But
how many jobs did you take her on where she napped?
Oh, almost. I mean, she napped almost every time.
No, but how many jobs would you say that was like? Would you say it was like 10 jobs you took on when she was first born? For people listening, be like, I wonder, can my kid sleep if I was to bring them with me? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like those first time optimistic parents.
It was probably like, I don't know, 10 to 15. I don't know, somewhere around there.
10 to 15 times she slept, and then after that, it was quickly that she was.
Yeah, and then
she wasn't having it. That you can't tie me down.
Yeah.
And then you bought her some kind of bouncer or not a bouncer.
I bought like a bouncer, put her in there. It worked like the first like 3 times and then.
And what about the pack and play?
I never tried the pack and play because she never liked it. Even at home. Like we can't even leave her in there.
She feels like it's jail. She's cool with her crib. She hates her pack and play.
She's fine in her crib. It's funny. Like you put her in there, she'll play in there until she falls asleep. Or even when she wakes up, she will play in there for like half an hour.
If we're boring you because you don't have kids, hey, hang in there. One day, this is a foreshadowing of what life looks like.
You'll get it.
Running a business with kids.
Anyway, but yeah, I just never tried the pack and play because I just knew. I'm like, I'm not going to bother.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so I was very optimistic with Harper, but like I just remember even being pregnant and staging, and that was like.
Well, that would be hard regardless.
That was so hard. But when I look back, like when I think back, I remember it being hard, but I don't remember like hating it and like being so overly overwhelmed that I like.
Well, that's not in your nature. You're not that person. You're very optimistic. I don't know. I don't know if I can ever recall like you just like dreading absolutely everything, except in your early stages where you used to give me the stink eye every time I'd ask you to like help me with work. I'd ask you like, can you pre-read this before I publish that? And you're like,
I roll.
well, I don't know how. I don't know how to. What?
What do you want from me?
What do you
get it?
You've gotten really so much better, but I've never seen you be like, this was a weekend from hell. Like in the most interesting
until this weekend.
Until this weekend, which it was, and well, kind of. I mean, from my side, I don't know how we even introduced this. So we've had a talk about the direction of your business, and
let's not share that yet, though.
no,
no.
Oh,
I think.
Can we be clickbaity about it?
Ooh, on here?
Yeah.
Should I share it on here?
I think you should share it here because if you're gonna
maybe next week.
Why?
I'll share. I'm just not ready. I have a few loose ends to wrap up, and then
you gotta kill somebody.
Yeah. Not just one.
I was hoping that's the direction we're gonna take this podcast.
Oh. I wasn't ready. I'm not prepared.
When are we ever prepared for a podcast?
I know, but
we never prepare for a podcast.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready to share.
You're
anyway, there's a few changes that are going to happen.
We're having an open relationship.
And we'll share that maybe next time.
You didn't find that as funny as I did.
I'm just going to breeze right by that one.
You should have looked at me and be like, you feel good about saying that?
Yeah.
You want to take it back?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
please.
You want Cal to edit that out?
Yeah, you want
to
leave it? You want to live with that one? You feel good about it?
Anyway, so it was just stressful because I had not just one house, but two houses, which I've never done two houses in the same parade. I've done like different counties. So that's like usually a couple months.
Different area codes.
Different, yeah. That's usually like a couple months, away from each other. So it's not so bad. But this was like two at the same time. And
why are the parade homes so much more stress than a regular staging job you do?
First of all, you have to stage the whole entire house, but also like people come look at a parade of homes. If you guys don't know what it is, it's a lot of the builders in the area showcase their home. So
the home that they built to submit.
So it's
to
a very and usually it's like a very custom, special, over the top kind of home that they're like really proud about. Like really cool finishes, like some cool features in the home. So not every builder, but like a lot of the big builders participate in it. And so there's I think 30 homes this year.
Do the builders win a prize?
Yeah.
Cash?
I mean, there's no
bragging rights.
Just bragging rights. Okay. Yeah. So it's like they do have judging for the home. So like you win awards for like best kitchen, best master suite, best overall.
Most likeliest to survive the next 5 years. This house is less likely to burn down from user error.
Yeah. What are the other ones?
Less likely to get vandalized.
I'm trying to think. You're like ruining my.
I'm sorry.
Less likely to get vandalized.
I thought I'm helping you think.
There's some other
You're less likely to get a divorce.
Best interior design, best furnishings, best curb appeal. There's like exterior stuff too. Anyway, so there's a bunch of different categories, and the categories are based on price range. So every home within one price range is in that category, and so you win an award based on the price range of the house. So what the house is worth. Anyway, so you do, it's basically bragging rights, and like you have to be part of the Boise. I don't even know what it's called. Something association.
Okay.
Anyway, but like you have to pay to be part of the association, and then I don't know if like the builders have to pay to be part of the parade. Anyway, it's a big deal, and that's why the parade of homes is such a big deal, because it's like you got to use your best pieces. You got to like people are gonna be walking through these homes. It's got to be to the nines. So that's why it's stressful. It's like I come in and I think I have all the stuff I need, and then lo and behold, I'm missing so many things, and I'm like, ugh,
has that problem ever not come up? I feel like that's a problem that happens in every job. You're like, I don't have enough
No,
stuff.
mostly parades.
Mostly
Like
parades.
or a
it is
house.
because it's
or
not
a house that I'm staging like almost the whole thing.
because most of the times you do what? You do one bedroom, a kitchen, dining, and entry or something like that, right?
Yeah, mostly it's the living room, dining room, kitchen, and like master bedroom and bath. Every once in a while, like office or like a flex room, but those are the main ones. And
A
so,
flex room.
yeah.
Is that where you just go and just like call your
Flex?
friends and tell them everything you
Flex.
have that they don't?
No, that's a room that could be used for like anything.
Well, they call it a bonus room. Oh, is there a bonus room different than a flex room?
Yeah, because I think a bonus room is bigger. A flex room is usually like just like it almost feels like an extra bedroom, but without a closet.
Can you go to a bonus room but like still flex on your friends by calling them and be like, hey, you got a bonus
I'm in
room?
the flex room.
I'm in the flex room.
Yeah.
Bonus room that doubles down as a
So
flex.
usually I stage it as like a media room. Anyway, so that's
I don't know.
that.
If it's me, I feel like
Parade
I'm
of
killing with
homes
these
are-
jokes, and you're not just taking none of them in. I'm like throwing you my best hitters, and you're
I
just
feel like they're
oh man,
You gotta step it up.
Golly, I think they're more dad jokish at this point.
They are. They're very.
Although
dad
the
jokers.
flex part, I could have gone the direction to be like actually literally flexing your muscles. That's a true dad joke. But no, I stayed with the youth times and I said, no, hey,
Oh,
flex. Flexing on your friends. Be like, yo, I got a, cool
flex.
car.
Oh.
Do you not
It's
know how
still
to
dad
flex?
jokey.
Okay. I'll get you one. I'll get you real quick. Before the end of this podcast.
Before the end,
I'll hit
you'll
you with
get
a good
one.
Okay, so you have to stage every single room, including these like flex rooms, bonus rooms. And
So I
you
think,
always
and
feel-
then and so it's always stressful, and I always end up not having enough stuff and having to buy more stuff, and then I'm always like pressed for time because, especially this time, that's another reason it was so stressful because both the builders and every builder in the area is so behind because of how long like shipping is taking for everything.
is there a certain reason behind?
Oh no,
Nothing?
just nobody knows. Just
the holiday
randomly,
season.
yeah.
Holiday
season.
Groundhog
Easter.
Earth Day.
Easter didn't, yeah.
Earth-
Earth Day. Earth Day.
Yeah, everybody knows you don't ship things out on Christmas, New Year's, or Earth Day.
So there you got me.
I got her with one. I'm gonna put my guns back in the holster.
Oh yeah, you can keep them there for the rest of the podcast.
I'll even put the little button clip back over.
Make sure the safety's on.
Yeah, safety's on.
Yeah, so everything was delayed, and so the builders were literally wrapping up and kept texting me and emailing me saying like, sorry, this isn't done, can you come later, and I'm like, when am I gonna have this time to stage 2 houses?
Because they're finishing work.
Because they're finishing, yeah. And like they hadn't even had cleaners come, and so I was like already getting nervous, knowing I had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to stage 2 houses, two full houses, and that might sound like a lot of time. It's not. It takes me 2 to 3 days to stage an entire house because I only have one person helping me right now, and it takes 2 of us, and plus one of the homes I had to assemble all the furniture in it because the buyer bought all the stuff in it.
So the guy that owns the house that bought it, that the builder built for to submit to the Parade of Homes, he also reached out to you and be like, hey, can you furnish my house for me to keep?
Yeah.
So you did like a custom shopping, Well, yeah, you bought all his furniture.
Well,
basically.
yeah. So that was
It's not even staging. It's at that point like you furnished his house.
I helped him, pick out. Yeah, I furnished his house exactly. So like all of that stuff.
So what do people like that? I'm curious about like. So what's a guy like that, and what's a budget of a guy like that to be like, hey, because the reason I ask this is I think it's such a foreign concept. It's such a Make-A-Wish thing or like Disney cartoon movie Blank Check, where the kid gets like hit by a car and the guy writes him a check and didn't sign it, and so the kid like buys anything he wants. So I think it's such a foreign concept for somebody to be like, hey, I want you to buy all the furniture from my house. Like, what's that conversation like, and what's a person like that, and what's the ticket price? So like, first of all, okay, what did it end up costing this guy, like in furniture, without your fees, like of just like furnishing, like, hey, I'm moving to the area, I want all new furniture, you go buy it. What's something like that look like? What's a ticket price for 3,000 square feet?
What's the square footage? I think it's about 3, maybe a little bit less.
And so,
No,
okay,
it's probably
so
3.
what's without your fees? Like, what would you say like his ticket price like?
Well, first when I talked to him, like it was. A lot of times they don't know themselves because it's like
Sure.
I don't know what the like furnished, but it was without my fees about
$35,000, and you're like, hey, I'm moving from state A to state B, buying this
Furnish
baller
everything.
house that is being submitted to the parade of homes, and I want you to style it and for me to keep the furniture, and that's like 35 G's. Like, just have that laying around. That's crazy.
Right?
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's a pretty baller move, I think.
Yeah, and that was me being like, I'm gonna buy nice stuff, but not like over the top.
Well, yeah, you don't buy like $10,000 chairs.
No,
you know,
no.
you're very like realistic and
Yeah,
like,
because like you
and you,
buy,
also don't buy IKEA
no
stuff.
if
So
you buy stuff that's like quality. But I also did a lot of research, like okay, quality stuff, but maybe like a different store has the same ones that are like a little bit, Anyway, it's quality stuff, but not your like $10,000. So
because it's easy to be like, I mean, and like I think humorously you told me like when you asked him, "What's your budget?" and he's like, "Oh, I don't really have one," which again, really baller move. But then he's
Baller.
like double down and be like, "Hey, I mean, if I was to put a number on, like let's not go over $100,000."
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, again, even with
Still
that,
baller.
even with that hesitation, you're like, still baller, dude.
yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, that was fun picking out furniture.
And good on you for hearing somebody say don't go over $100,000, and you're like it's $35,000.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you didn't be like, oh, we got you. Good news, we got you in at
75,
$95,000.
80.
You know, like this is why you're going with the best.
He ended up calling me back later and goes, "Okay, I know I said like under $100,000, but like I thought about it. And I was like, maybe like I'm hoping you don't quote me at like 85, 90."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh no."
Don't
That's the
worry.
way it's warm in
Was he
here.
really? This is the first time you're warm
I
in
know
here.
it's because I think this is really warm.
Well, you've worn a jacket in here.
I know. Did you turn the heater on?
Well, I always do.
Oh well, last time
I
it was
cater
cold.
to my guests.
Thank you.
You step foot into my home here, you know.
Anyway, the parade home, yeah. So it was just stressful because there's two houses, and then there was a miscommunication with staging, and there was just a lot that went down there. I don't want to talk about it, so don't ask. I know you're gonna
that
ask.
story.
Yeah.
That'd have been good drama, though.
I know, but I don't want. It's just there was just
Do you think that person's listening to this podcast?
no. I just and also on both
How fun
sides.
though? How fun would it be though?
No, I don't
You're
wanna do it.
so nice of a person.
No, because it's like it was just a weird.
Can we come up with like a fake name for the person and be like, so this B word Stephanie,
Yeah.
who is
No,
another.
no, it's not even.
Come on,
No.
let's get some.
No, it's not even that. It's more like the whole situation itself was.
But expand
just,
on the situation.
The situation was just like there was a miscommunication with staging, and so I thought I wasn't going to stage, and then I ended up having to stage, but like at the very last minute, and I was so stressed because I wasn't like I was already prepared to like just not stage that house and for the
This
parade.
person.
No, and then it was like, oh my gosh, now I have to like do this in a matter of a day, and so it was stressful having to come in and make sure like and everything was perfect, and then I had to come back like 11 times because things were not all there or like the way it should be. So like prime example, I actually had furniture that I ordered in January that never showed up.
Well, that was a part of our last or second to last podcast.
So like
so the conversation.
to come back to it,
Okay.
almost everything showed up. Some stuff,
Proves the point that things work out.
no, but it still didn't.
Why?
I had to end up using some of my own stuff,
Yeah, but
but it worked out.
But
yeah.
like you were in a situation. When I say things work out, it doesn't necessarily mean like, hey,
The way you
it
wanted
turns
it.
out things. They go, oh, ring, Mrs. Mizuki. Oh, by the way, we're able to expedite the shipping just for you. Rumor
Yeah.
has it. No. Things work out whenever you feel like that is the. There has to be some kind of law or rule of life where it's like
You like wish it into existence, kind of
well,
thing.
kind of, but like
Yeah.
regardless of how scary or how bad the situation is, everything works itself out. You don't just roll over and die. Somehow they're
Has
figured
to.
out.
Yeah.
Somehow you adapt, you reprioritize, you figure things out, and you're looking back at it now. You're like, yeah, that was a sucky 2 weeks. but you're like,
but it worked out.
I got through it. Like
I got through it, and it wasn't the end of my life
and your career. Yeah. But in the midst of it, you're like, I have no answers. I have deadlines. I have a show to put on for this parade. And lo and behold, everything's backed up an extra month or two. And you're looking, but in the midst of our conversation, you're like, I'm sure it'll figure itself out. I'm going to just vent right now. And then tomorrow I'm going to get to work.
Yeah. And that's like what I had to do. And so I did have to use a couple of my things, but, the other things, most of them ended up showing up on Saturday?
Right.
Friday or Saturday. And so I'll have to take them over at some point. And then the only thing that didn't show up was the nightstands. And then like only part of a bed showed up. That was really weird. The headboard showed up, but the rest of the bed never showed up.
Was it in different boxes? Is that what that was?
Yeah. So it came in different boxes, but it just never came.
Which is weird still, right? Like,
super weird. Yeah. Usually it comes all together. And so I didn't know what to do then. I was like, oh, okay.
Set up part of the bed.
Yeah. I mean, so we just use the headboard and just like a frame.
And the best part is I didn't have to build anything for this job.
I know. I stopped asking you.
You did.
In fact, I was going to ask you to help me move some of that stuff right there that's in the house. Like showed up late.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't.
Because you're like, how much do I want to raise his blood pressure? Because I have my own issues right now with this house.
You have stuff going on too. So that's another thing we can dive into. That's my spiel.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed listening to.
Crumbles.
But anyway, if you're local and you want to go see some parade homes, I staged number 1 and number 29.
Number 1? That's pretty impressive. I mean, I would imagine they would save like.
No, it's by I think it's alphabetical. Number 1.
No, but I still am. Okay, here.
Yeah, because
strategically though.
It's alphabetical because the first stage, the first builder is an A, and the second builder is a Z.
Oh, alphabetical.
So it's 1 and 29, and there's 30 homes.
I would imagine that you would still want to be working for that builder in that alphabetical order, because if you think about it, if somebody's like, hey, we're going to go check out these houses.
Let's go start with 1.
Because you're the one, like, I didn't know how big of a deal these parades were until you were telling, like, I mean, a couple of years ago, you were doing, before you started your business, you and a bunch of your girlfriends would rent a limousine and wine.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
And you would drive around, like bar hopping, like to all these different parade homes.
We'd rent a limo and get like champagne and
bunch of moms day drinking in a limo. Dangerous.
No, it's not, because we're not driving.
It's dangerous in the perspective of like you girls are not conditioned to start drinking at noon.
Also, it's dangerous because then we want everything.
You guys are a bunch of woo girls.
We take pictures and you come home and be like, I want this.
Yeah, that's the part that's dangerous.
No, it's fun. It was fun. And so to be able to stage for a house that I used to like see these like in the parade it was always a dream of mine to be able to stage for a parade of homes. So it was fun. It was hard work, but it was fun.
Yeah, no, I believe
it's cool now to have that like.
So how many parades total have you done?
Fall and spring?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 6.
6 parades total in your career. And you've had your business for what, 3 years?
It'll be 4 in the summer, which I keep telling people 5.
Oh, you're like me, where I'm like, how long have you been married? I was like 27
not
years.
Not even 4. It's
27 years. Yeah. You're like, we're not even 9.
It's gonna be 4 in like June or July.
Are we hitting 9 this August? Mm-hmm. Oh wow, that's pretty close.
You're close. We're getting there.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome accomplishment.
Yeah, but there will be some changes happening. So maybe in the next podcast we'll share. I was gonna share it on the blog, but.
You should share it on the blog and then drive everything to the. You should share it on the podcast and then drive people to the podcast, and then you should share it on the blog, and then the people who don't listen to podcasts, you can drive them to the podcast.
Sure. Anyway, listen next week. It's kind of big. Right?
These people. It's kind of big.
It's big.
It's ginormous.
I'm not pregnant.
It's
the direction I'm taking my business. So if you want to listen. And then transitioning to all your stuff that's happening.
Well, I just got a new bracelet. I'm pretty excited about it.
Where's mine?
I don't know. It's a cool bracelet. It's lava rock. Got it in Hawaii. I'm pretty excited about it. So back to you.
Cool.
Tell me about this B word that screwed you over.
Hey, it was.
Come on, I'm trying to get some juicy
no,
stuff.
there's no drama.
You're so nice. You're so nice.
There's no drama about that. It was just the whole situation was just
I
a mess.
get it. But do you remember how you and I had this conversation? It was like, you don't, what's the word I use? Like, you don't embellish stories.
Yeah.
You keep them so tight to the thing. Like, I'll be like, oh, I'm getting so many emails about it. You're like, really?
I only saw one.
You're like,
I'm like,
come on. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, because I think that stems from like my people pleasing, but also
keeping it 100.
When I was growing up, I always wanted to fit in, and so I wanted never to stand out. And so what you do to not stand out is make yourself like less than.
Oh, I see.
What So
wait. So you wanted to fit in but not stand out? Like you wanted to fit in but not be the popular girl?
No, I wanted to fit in, but like be like everybody else. I didn't want to like be.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Like you don't
stand out. As
you don't want to be the first girl that does cocaine, but like be like, oh yeah, I totally did all the time.
I honestly didn't want to be noticed. I don't know if that's like my personality, but I just never wanted to be like noticed or brought attention upon. So like I never wanted the attention.
And what about now? How do you live? Do you feel like you're okay with attention now, or you still don't want attention?
I think I still have a hard time with it, but now it's more like when it's my work that's getting attention, that I'm really proud of, then I'm okay with it.
Because then you could stand in the shadows of your work.
Yeah, like here's a picture of my work, but like don't direct me directly like contact me. I just have always been that way. I hated the attention of people.
That's interesting. And
it's like that shy nature of mine where I remember still, I don't know if I shared this on the podcast.
But don't you ever don't you feel when you have the attention in your career for your accomplishments or whatnot, don't you feel that it's like a testament of your work like succeeding, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like,
and that's why I'm okay with it.
To me, I don't care about like, okay, so I have this weird love-hate relationship with running into people who watch my content. Mm-hmm. It's about 90% awkward and 10% really cool, right? Mm-hmm. The 10% is like, oh man, they recognize me. I can't believe my stuff is so like it's reaching people's eyes. Somebody's noticing. That's incredible. And I guess I'm putting out good content, the fact that people are noticing. But then the 90%, it's weird because I don't think we're meant to be known by other people like that. And even though a lot of people would crave that, be like, oh, please stop. Yes, I'm that person.
Oh no, please.
Yeah. Oh, me.
Wait,
do you
continue.
want to? It's more of like that interaction. Is the idea is fun of being recognized, but the reactions are sometimes a little bit more awkward. Like, what do you say? And you have this like, I don't know, pressure of being like, did I meet your expectations of what I would be like, or did I not? Because on camera, when I do YouTube videos, you see what it is, and then you kind of make your own assessment. But if I didn't react the way you thought I would react when you first met me, then was I a jerk? Did I not engage? Was I too cocky? Mm-hmm. You know? And so that's the 90% cool. And sometimes it's enough to be like, I would rather give up that part. You know, I just want people to watch my stuff. Like, I just want to keep making a living. So like with you, like, don't you have a little bit of that, like, oh, I am Irina. Like, this is... people recognize me for my work and my style. Isn't that the cool part? Like, isn't that like a testament to the level of success that you've reached?
I don't know if I get that as much because I mean, I do love when people will comment like, oh, I went and looked at the parade home. It looks awesome. Like, I've had already a few people tell me they've looked at it. Mm-hmm. But it's more like that personal touch when somebody, says like, I really loved what you did here or here. I don't know. But also, social media is hard for me, I think, because of that reason. I never really understood why. I had a hard time, like, being really engaging and, like, doing a video, like, showing, like, talking to the camera. And I think that's that. It's like I've just always wanted to be, like, under the radar, behind the backstage, behind the curtain kind of person.
See, social media is the easy part to me because you can embellish it any way you want. You can portray. I remember
I have such a hard time doing that.
When I first tried convincing you to get into social media, I remember telling you, I was like, you have to understand, these are smoking mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is all an act of, you portray yourself to be anything you want to be. If you want to portray yourself to be that quiet, doesn't speak much, but really cool person, you can be that. If you
I'm
want,
already that person.
you know what I mean? You know, like when you were like in middle school and your family's moving, so you go to a new school district and you're like reinvent.
Who's that
you're gonna,
like quiet? Yeah.
You're gonna reinvent yourself.
But the thing is, I can't do that. I feel like people see right through me.
The reality is the hard part. The reality, that's why I'm saying, like, when you run into people who watch your content, that's the part that's the hard part, because you're like, I can't have the filters here. I can't, you know what I mean? The personality has to be, I mean, to me, I have a weird time conversing with people, but I would imagine with you, you just kind of like the same way you hide behind, you know, staging something beautifully or styling something beautifully. Likewise, and you just let that do the speaking for you. I'd imagine you treat that when it comes to your social media as well.
I don't know. Social media is a whole nother world for me. I still remember, this is how much I wanted to fit in and like not be different from people. Do you remember like in, this happened a lot, I think in middle school mostly, but like elementary school when it was like
huffing whippets?
Yeah. I don't know what that is. Whippets.
You don't, oh, you would love huffing whippets.
Oh, cool. Let's try
those
this.
Those are little, little aerosolized little cartridges that they would put into those commercial grade cake baking like whipped cream dispensers.
Oh, yeah.
You put those little whippets in there. It's a compressed
air.
Well, it's not air. It's a type of gas. But when you huff that gas, it gets you high.
Oh,
and that's what all the kids were doing. So.
I was too straight.
Oh, you would love huffing whippets.
No, I still remember. Do you remember in elementary and middle school, like the first day of school, you would do those little, it was like a worksheet and it said like find somebody who was born on the same date as you, and then like you have to mark it, and if you get like a bingo, you win. Did you guys ever do that?
Oh, I think you went to a financially supported school.
Did you guys not?
I went to ghetto schools.
No.
Where like your shank was right next to your number 2 pencil.
What was your like get to know you games?
Oh, get to know you? Are you wearing too much red or too much blue? Like that's what you get to know you.
That's crazy.
Oh, here's the game. Yeah, are you gonna get stabbed today?
I lived in Portland. So
yeah, the hipster capital of the world.
So anyway, there's a game you like play on the first day of school, and it was like you find somebody that matches that criteria. So like it would be like find somebody with the same birthday as you, find somebody whose favorite color is green, and so that's like getting to know somebody because you have to talk to them.
Can I tell you a game that we?
Wait, I'm not done.
I'll tell you. Go ahead.
Okay, and then once you get like 4 in a row, you win, and then like the game's over or whatever. But it's like a icebreaker kind of thing. And I remember still, I would be so embarrassed that I was born in a different country that I would like pretend I wasn't. So when people ask me, because one of the questions was like find somebody born in a different country, and they would ask me and be like, no, I wasn't born in a different country.
You denied, really?
Because I was so embarrassed to be different.
Putin would be so pissed with
Putin?
you. Oh, who's
Russia?
Who's your Ukrainian president? Or you guys not have one? Yeah. This is why Russia invaded Ukraine. That's exactly why.
We're too passive.
You guys are too passive. You're weak. Here's a fun game we played in freshman year of high school. I had a black friend, and we were walking home after school one time, right?
This isn't like during school.
This isn't after school freshman year.
I know, but it's not like a in-class activity.
Oh, let me keep going. We're walking home after school, and we're both walking probably about 2 miles away from our school. We didn't ride the bus, and we're just dicking around, having fun. And a white van pulls up with 2 white dudes.
Oh, no.
Throwing the N-word towards my friend. And then they got out of the car and started chasing us. So we had to run away together from these guys.
Oh my
So that's the little icebreaker games that we played where I grew up from. So, yeah, I'm sorry. We didn't have the whole, like, find somebody who's born in a different country. It was more like trying not to have you and your friend get stabbed.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
Different parts of the world.
Well,
I remember when you and I first got married. So when we moved from Russia, we went to move to the most ghetto parts, and I didn't know that was the ghetto part until I grew up, and I was like, look back and be like, hey, I think we live in like a legit ghetto, and in Seattle. And growing up like that, I was kind of used to kind of the upbringing of of kind of knowing where you are at certain times of the day, and just kind of, it's just part of your life. You're not living in fear, but you're living in awareness.
Right.
And I remember, because those things are so rooted in me, like where you'd still, if you're walking at night or dusk, whatever, you like constantly check your back and all that stuff, and you read into certain signs. And I remember you and I, when we first got married, and you moved into to Seattle with me for a couple of months, and we were at a restaurant having like a couple burgers or something like that. And our waitress comes up to us. She goes, "Hey guys, so today we our specials are and like eyes beating like wide, blinking, and then just so we got the filet mignon, and then the avocado goes really well." And like she leaves, and you're like, "Oh man, she's like postnasal drip or something." And I was like, "Oh
her
no,
allergies must be so bad."
Oh yeah, her allergies. I was like, "Oh no, she does cocaine, sweetie." She does all the cocaine.
I was sheltered. I was
all
very
the cocaine,
naive.
yeah. Like so we have two different kind of schooling,
different.
I guess,
Schooling,
if you will.
Yeah, very different. I was very sheltered, so I didn't.
No, and that. God bless you for that. I mean, I think there's something to be said about that, right? Because there's people who are sheltered from it from just knowledge, and that's fine. Knowledge is power. But then there's people who are sheltered from it. And then later on in life, they kind of get in trouble because they weren't prepared for it. But
right.
that's not the direction of this podcast.
Maybe next time.
We're gonna name this podcast "Cocaine Cowboys."
It's just interesting to me that like my personality, my sister. I have an older sister. She's 15 months older than me, and we were.
How many weeks is that?
28. I don't know. That seems way too little. Anyway. What was I saying? Oh yeah, and like it's crazy that like same family, same upbringing, same type of environment, and we could not be any more different. Like I was so shy and quiet, and she was like center of attention, like all eyes on me all the time, loud, like trying to be, you know. And I don't know if it's like the second kid thing, because it was like I was always under her shadow, like in her shadow, I guess. So it was like I was so used to that, maybe that's how I was where I was comfortable.
Well, now Beckham is the second kid, but he's the more charismatic type.
That's true, and he's way more bold. He's way more bold to go talk to somebody than Jack.
Correct.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it doesn't matter the order. I just wonder why. Yeah, like it.
I do hope.
Genetically.
I look at Harper, and we have these little markers that we're noticing with her, where, if it's not dad or the brothers, any other guy like wants to hold her,
crying.
She cries. Father-in-law,
all of them,
grandpas, friends of ours, like all of them. It doesn't matter if they do the high pitch, it doesn't matter. It's just, screaming bloody murder. But her brothers are around, or myself, and she is just happiest of the family.
Yeah.
So, but I see so much of you in her.
She'll
right?
probably be like that.
Like she really is so patient, right? She's the only one of the boys that when
one of the boys.
Well, no, but I mean, like with the two boys, like when they were babies, you would change them and they would scream bloody murder. She has yet to make a sound.
She doesn't scream now. She just wiggles.
She wiggles. She doesn't scream. You wipe her face. The boys, you would wipe their face when they'd be dirty, like as babies, screaming bloody murder.
Well, even like in the bathtub today, so Beckham got in with her and he was squirting his little Spider-Man into her face, and she was just like.
Just blinking away.
Just blinking away. I'm like,
you're
so sweet.
She's so patient, and she's so, and just she's not striving for that attention. That's the way I'm analyzing the fact that she's not going to anybody and everybody. That I do really hope that she continues having these attributes of you, where like I don't want to be the center of attention, because at that point, as a father, you like this is not a child who's like gonna be like. Yearning or seeking that attention from somebody bad else. People just to have that attention. I would much rather focus, like the way I'm focusing with Beckham, to empower him to become a scientist, because he wants to be a scientist. So I'm going over his sight words and all that stuff and reminding him that how to use his brain. And I would much rather work on her to be like, hey, you could be anything you want to be, as opposed to like, hey.
I just hope with her, if she does have like more of my personality, that we continue to instill so much confidence in her, because I think that's one thing I was lacking growing up, because of my more like shy and that nature to be more passive, and not want to be the center of attention.
Correct.
I didn't have any confidence at
Well,
all. And so like, I really hope, and I think you do a great job with her already, but like, that's just one thing I guess I'm more aware of. Like if she does have that tendency to,
And she will.
Be
She
more
will have that
passive.
tendency because he strikes me as that.
I just hope that she still continues to have that a lot of confidence in herself and boldness, and know who she is versus, like what I experienced. Because it was like I now am very confident, even though I still.
Well,
I
pump
still
your
struggle.
brakes, okay? Mr. Overly confident can't do a selfie video.
No, I mean like I'm confident in who I am and like and my strengths and weaknesses. And I think that is the biggest part is like I am confident in what I can do, but also like what I can't do. And so I just hope we teach her that and that she grows into being comfortable
100%.
with who she is. And
listen, that's exactly
with all of our kids for sure, but if she does have more of my nature, because our boys, like Beckham has more of your like outgoing personality and Jack has more, he is definitely a little bit more shy like me, but I don't know. He's like a mix of us, I feel like.
My conclusion with our kids is Jack's really good with school, right?
He's smart.
He's very analytical. And with him,
but I mean like personality
you know how like the Wizard of Oz, it's like each character, what were they hoping for? A heart or whatever. What was it? Courage. The lion was a courage, right? The heart was that Tin Man, right? It's the same. Like if I was to analyze the kids the same way, like Jack is so good at school, but he's bad at failing. So like I want to teach him how to fail, right? Because then he could become unstoppable. Beckham is good at taking risks and creativity, but he's bad being analytical when it comes to textbook and stuff like that. So my goal is to teach him how to use his brain, right? Not teach him how to learn, basically. Harper, if our assessment is right with her and she doesn't feel like she needs to be the center of attention and is patient and has all these very strong characteristics, what I would like to focus with her is empowering her to reach for the moon. You know what I mean? So like those kind of things, I think, because you're never going to have a kid who's good at both being humble and good at failing and good at being analytical and good at taking risks and being forgiving and patient. Like you can't. And so like that just comes.
You just help them, with like striving for, to become the best version of who they can be and who they want to be. These are my objective observations with them. So and that could change, obviously.
100%,
but
and it will change, right? Middle school
now
is going to be different, right? Because the way Jack, with the problems that he had a year ago, he's now facing different kind of problems, And
I love it. We always go back to like analyzing our kids.
Listen, I mean, but
that's our life, and that's what's important to us.
I cared less about my empire that I'm building, right? Because people call like your business is your empire. Like I care less about that. I care more about
because they're our legacy. Our children are our legacy.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest fear, and we've talked about these before, is like having them embody some kind of failure that you fail them in, and it's like, no, I want to take away all these things.
Right, or them growing up and either having resentment or bitterness or like not wanting to be around you. It's like, that would be like my saddest moment is like when our kids don't want to come home. When they're, grown up and married, whatever it is. Like I want them to like come by always and say like, just, hey mom, I'm in the neighborhood. Like, and I know that my parents always wish for that too. And that's why I like stopping by. Cause it's like, that's just like what you hope for as a parent, right? Like I hope our kids come home for the holidays and not go spend it somewhere else, so.
Yeah, no, I've never thought about it to that extent. And I think I will now.
Yeah, now you're gonna be like,
because that's what's gonna keep me up
they're
awake
gonna
crying.
be. Sorry, that's what I think about all the time when I'm laying awake at night.
Do you really?
Always, like I think about like years in the future of just like because everything just so dependent on how you raise them now to how they're gonna be then, and they're only kids for such a short period of time, but they're adults. like 18 and over.
See,
I guess.
I don't think about those parts as like, do they constantly want to be around? I want them to not, my biggest goal is truly like, it's a small goal. It's like for them to not resent me because I neglected something. Like even as little things as like Jack's passion for video games is like, I don't want him to grow up with this like resentment of him going like, my dad has some kind of influential platform and he never helped me get my video game stuff off the ground. Like stuff like that is like, he never saw what I was passionate about. And the reason I think about stuff like that is because I remember I had a strong passion for cars and fixing cars. And my dad was a mechanic and worked at chop shops. And he always pushed me away from that stuff. And I don't push Jack away from video games. I just help him try to regulate that.
Right, because you do.
I always teach him like video games don't control us, and like I have him repeat that whenever he throws tantrums. So I always look for these moments of like, I don't want you to resent me. So I never really feel this fear of like, what if they never want to be around me when they grow up?
You don't feel it because all they want to do is be around you.
Because that's exactly. I mean, I don't want to pull this joke on you, but like, it's truly like they're always hovered. I feel like I yell at them the most, and they're always like wrapped around my leg.
All of them.
And they sit on the couch, and they want to like they sit as close as possible. And on a good day, I'm like, cool, this is fine. But like on a day after I'm done working, it's like I just want to breathe for a second. So I'll ask my own kid, be like, hey, can you scoot over a little bit? Like, let me have my
like,
elbow
why?
wiggle room. So yeah, I don't.
But that's true. They're always wanting to be around you, and that I feel like is the biggest compliment you can have as a parent is like when your kids are just constantly by your side and like I just want to sit by you.
Yeah. I love it when he calls me on his Gizmo watch.
Me
like,
too.
and he's
Mom,
like,
where are you?
Hey, Dad. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Crying. What about you?
Just sitting in the garage crying.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So yeah, your parades. Everything
we really
worked out.
went off on a tangent there, but
it went out. It went, and everything worked itself out.
Yeah, back to the parades it did, and it's
You're living back to your old life.
Yep. So I finally had like I think I started work yesterday even a little bit, but today is the first. No, sorry, not yesterday. Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So I had Saturday and Sunday finally like to breathe, and it felt so good. I finally got to do some house stuff that I've been wanting to do, and that's another thing is like during these like basically feels like 2 weeks. Has it been like 2 weeks?
It's been like a month and a half.
Of just like go. I haven't been able to do anything at our house, anything. And it's like driving me crazy because I come home and everything's a mess and like there's still boxes everywhere. And I'm like,
I've learned that I can't function and you can't function with both of us are in a stressed environment.
Yes. One of us, it's okay because the other person can like take
decompress from them.
Yes.
Right.
When both of us are, it doesn't work well.
Do you wonder, it's funny. After I just said that, I'm like, that's such a like obvious,
But when we're both working.
But I wonder if people truly realize that when you have two people married in a house and both people are living stressful seasons in their careers, that it does nothing but has nothing but destructive tendencies.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But I truly think it's such a silly thing. I don't think people acknowledge that. I think people think that I have this recent theory about like society teaches us to be like worker ants, right? Like from the get-go. If you think about the way our society set up was like you finish high school, you go to college, so you're achieving certain grades, you finally get accepted to college, you get hammered with this ginormous student loan that the majority of people can't even pay off. And you get your first entry-level job that doesn't even pay remotely close to that. And then you start buying cars in debt, you have credit cards, you have furnishings that are in debt. And so you have to keep working at this job you're not happy with. And so you live your life trying to be taught how to manage that money within those means. Not how to excel it bigger, but just manage it within those means.
Yeah, to get
and then
by.
You work at a job that you hate from the age of, you finish college and you're from the age of 21, 22 till retirement age is 64, 65. So from 20 to 65, you work in a career, jobs, plural, that you hate, so that from 65 to male's life expectancy is 75, 77, you retire. Yeah. And you can do whatever you want. You can not do whatever you don't want, right? Just those 10. So you live for the last quarter of your life, right? That's the whole life is like, that is a worker ant factory, programming. And I forgot where I started this tangent on like why I started like rambling
The worker
about
ant.
the worker ant. But like, what would you share?
Oh, are we talking about both people being
Oh,
like when
yeah. So just like we recognize that way of life, right? As society like kind of programs us, the same way you kind of go like, well, I have a busy career, she has a busy career. This whole busyness and bitterness that comes with it is just part of the consequences or part of like the thing, you know, like it just comes with the territory. And until one day you're hit blindside and realize your marriage is drifting apart, your way of life is being destructive. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And so you become that guy who's sitting in traffic, slamming his hand on the horn. You know, like I was driving behind this guy or in front of this guy yesterday on the Meridian Road here, and he like I think the speed limit was like 55, but everybody's going 50 because there's so many cars.
Yeah, right.
And you can see this guy behind me like wave his hand up like this. Like,
I hate when they do that.
And I'm thinking in my head, I was like, you're so angry right now. And I always look at the same group of people, like the same people who leave mean comments online are the same people who are sitting in traffic.
Yes.
You're so unhappy with your life because it's so stressful and your work sucks.
Yeah.
You hate your job. You hate the marriage that you're in because you're constantly fighting. You know what I mean? You're constantly
that stress
like
level so high.
And so now you're sitting behind somebody going 5 miles under the speed limit because there's a bunch of cars on the road and you're waving your hand in the air, frustrating. And I go, wow, man, like analyze your life for a second, take some risks. And
I feel like I've seen way more people like with the road rage lately than I ever before, and it's probably everybody moving from out of state.
No,
I won't mention what state.
Listen,
but like
Nebraska, Nebraska. Okay.
It was like a month ago. I was driving too, and there was a guy behind me, and I was driving slower because there was a car in front of me driving slower. But he kept like, he was like first of all like tailgating me.
Oh, I slam on my brakes.
Oh my gosh!
I wish you would hit me.
And then like I like pull into the left turn lane, and he follows me, but he like starts like. Waving his hands, and I'm like, what do you mean? I didn't cut you off. I just like went into the turn lane before you, and he flipped me off.
Really?
And I was like, what the heck is your problem?
Have you ever flipped anybody off?
No.
Oh, you'd love to flip somebody off. It's a good feeling.
No, but he kept going like this in the mirror, and I was like, what is that doing? Like, I don't care.
You should flip somebody off one day.
And then he was just like, it was just funny because he was like older. He was probably like in his 60s. And I was like, what is
he can't retire.
The funny thing is though, he can't retire. He's like, he has to work till he's 70. But like we turned, and right after we turned the left turn lane, he turned into a neighbor. And I was like, oh, are you just like getting home and you wanted to get home faster? 1 minute faster? Do not understand
Is this right here?
No, it was
yeah, somewhere over there.
I was turning onto Locust Grove from McMillan.
Oh.
So
you gotta flip somebody off one of these days.
It's
so funny.
I would get like an adrenaline rush.
Oh yeah, it's so funny to me because.
But I guess I would never do it because I don't understand the point of it. Like, it doesn't make you feel better. It doesn't make the other person feel better. Like, why?
Well, I think it's always a game of barking, right? So like it's this barking thing where the person. Just like the person with the loudest voice always wins, it's the same thing with a gesture. When somebody comes in aggressively, the reason they do that, and I've said this before, the reason the person starts mouthing off aggressively or starts flipping people off aggressively is because nobody has ever stepped in front of them and be like, hey,
what are you doing? Yeah.
What'd you just do? Because then the bark goes away, or you start barking out loud at them. It's just a game of, like you see a dog bark. A small dog will bark at a big dog, and then the big dog barks at a small dog. The little dog shuts up. So it's just this. it's this weird animalistic, genetic thing that we have where our ancestors used to avoid danger and being hunted and killed and raped and pillaged. That it was a physical demand. That now the only problems that we have is like the only. Conflicts that we have are mental conflicts where we make sure we strive that our career is the top career, our job, we're the highest in our job. And there's no more of that physical thing. That's why like the most trained fighters, the most deadly fighters like the UFC, are the nicest people and the least confrontational
Yeah.
people. They'd be like, they would rather get smacked in the face than get into an altercation because they know how violent and how capable they are of
They
violence.
are, yeah. So they don't need.
They're-
They don't need to go there.
That animalistic tendency is purged from their body. They're like, dude, listen, is it really worth
Stop,
it?
yeah.
Stop. You're flipping me off. You're 40
Yeah.
years old. We're driving in a car. Your car is lime green. By the way, that guy's car, lime green, a little Kia, right? I'm like, stop. You're,
Oh my
you're
gosh,
being
I
irrational.
can't handle the people who do that.
Yeah.
It's like,
Anywho, that was fun. That was nice. I like that. This came out of nowhere.
I know.
I was gonna take this a whole different direction with your work, but I guess we'll save it for next week.
And next time.
Okay. Well, I guess there's a blog with big news announcements coming from Mrs. M here, so make sure you watch it.
Stay tuned.
Sounds like I'm sticking around in this marriage, which is awesome, right? 'Cause I thought
You're welcome.
I thought she's upgrading me. With somebody
That's
with,
not the news.
Somebody with more hair, but thank you. Make sure you like, share this, please. Tag us on social media if you listen to the podcast. Rate, review it, and do all that jazz. And watch it on YouTube if you haven't yet. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.